Good morning YouTube friends, it's Victoria from Victoria Makes. Today I'm modelling my granny apron that I made on a previous video. It's a two-patterned reversible apron with pockets. Just reminds me of the dinner lady, sort of your grandma day, granny chic, and I really love it. So check out my video for that if you want to make one yourself. It's really granny chic and I don't know, I just really like it. Today I'm going to make the Christmas cake for this year. We always make it every year, and I started off years and years ago with Delia Smith recipes, but I've sort of moved over to Nigella Lawson recipes for about the last, I think probably about 12 years, something like that. I'm really pleased with the recipe. It's a tried and tested one, always comes out beautifully. So I would recommend that, and I'm going to do it today to show you. The book is from the Nigella Christmas cookery book, and it's a great recipe because it gives you the ingredients for all different sizes, and I'll just go through them with you now before we start. So depending on how large you want your Christmas cake, it gives you all the sizes that you can do. So we'll start at a 7-inch, 9-inch or 10-inch. The 10-inch one I've also made into 7 mini loaf cakes. You know these little about 3-inch rectangle loaf tins you can buy? I've made 7 of those with a 10-inch recipe, and I've actually wrapped those up and give them as Christmas gifts, which was really nice. And I just topped them with nuts and did a sugar glaze on top, and then wrapped a lovely ribbon round, and that was really lovely as a present. So you might want to do that. But if you wanted to do Christmas cakes, you can do, as I say, 7, 9 or 10-inch on this. So it depends on the actual size, the amount of the ingredients that you need, and I'd go online if you want to get a different measurement, but I'm going to go today for the 10-inch cake tin. I'm going to double line it with a cake liner to protect it as it's cooking for a long time, and then I will actually put brown paper over the top, probably 2 hours into cooking, to protect it further so that it just doesn't burn or doesn't overcook on the top, and it's still a nice even bake at the end of it. So here it says for a 10-inch cake you put your oven on at 150 degrees centigrade, which is gas mark 2, and then you reduce it to 140 gas mark 1 after 1 hour, and then you're cooking round about 3 1/4 to 4 1/4 hours in the oven. So do it early in the day when you don't need the oven for dinner at night time, and it will give you probably about 20 slices. If you do it in a nice square tin, then obviously it's quite easy as well to slice, but I've got a round 10-inch cake tin for today's purposes, and I always like to decorate a round one and tie ribbon round it. It's just something that we always do. So the recipe for this, which is a 10-inch cake tin, is 1 kilo of raisins, 500 grams of currants, 150 grams of glacé cherries. Now I haven't got 150 grams left, and I've not been and bought any more, so I'm going to substitute the remaining with a jar of marinating sour cherries in syrup, because I think that'll be really nice addition. So I'm going to put those in as well, and it'll bulk it up. You can actually mix and match. It does put ground cloves in the recipe. We're not really keen on ground cloves at all, so I always omit that. I put a little bit of almond essence in as well. So it's entirely up to you. You can put as many different things, lots of nuts in as well if you wish, you know, to actually increase the flavour if that's what you'd like. But back to this recipe, and we've got 150 grams, as I said, of glacé cherries, 225 grams of nuts, 600 mils of brandy or spirits of your choice, because what you can do is, after the cake has cooked, now what you can do is you can steep your sultanas overnight in alcohol and then use them the next day in your cooking, or you can also feed your cake for the weeks afterwards up till Christmas, piercing the cake with a skewer and then just popping some liqueur in so it feeds it, keeps it nice and moist. Then butter, we have got 400 grams of best butter, 275 grams of dark brown sugar. I haven't got dark brown sugar, so I put sugar in and some dark molasses, which is the same thing, and we're having dark treacle as well, so that'll enrich the sugar. Try and get dark brown sugar as well. The grated zest of a lemon, and 6 large eggs, black treacle and molasses 3 tablespoons. I'm going to put an extra one in because it's white sugar I'm using. Almond essence about 1.5 teaspoons, 450 grams of plain flour, 225 grams of ground almonds, ground cloves 3/4 teaspoon if you so wish, 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 3/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, a 10-inch cake tin, and the oven, put it on 150 degrees, gas mark 2 right now if you're starting your cooking process. So we'll get everything laid out and we'll start making our Christmas cake. Right then, so into the mixing bowl, I'm going to go straight in with the butter, we said 450 grams, and in with the sugar, in with the dark treacle, I think the black treacle, beautiful taste. I think I'll just do 3 because we've really got a huge big spoonful here. And I love these tins because the original Lyle's golden syrup and treacle tins, and I tend to wash them out and upcycle them into little plant pots. Grow herbs, you know, for the windowsill, so I tend to put a little hole in the bottom, a little bit of soil, and then I'll put herbs in. Parsley and chives, bit of coriander, anything that I want to grow on the windowsill over winter, and they look nice as well. So don't throw your tins away. I've also noticed there's a nice old branded baking powder and bicarb in a tin, and it was a little bit dearer than the supermarket's own brand, but I thought, oh, that's nice, it'll be nice to display again. You know, I like these old sort of fashioned, harking back to your younger sort of childhood days when, you know, your grandma and granddad had these sort of old brands. I think as we get older we like that, don't we? Right, so I'm going to just cream that all together in the food mixer now. I'm going to put the squirt of lemon juice in. I'll come back to that when it's all nicely mixed together. Right, so when we've creamed the butter and the treacle and the sugar together, we need to add the eggs, and we're going to add the eggs one at a time. I'll just push the bowl out and I will crack the eggs into here. And I do that just to make sure that there isn't any shell. All the eggs are nice and fresh. And with the food mixer going, just add the eggs one at a time, beating well after each addition, and then you can add the almond extract. Right, give it a stir around now to make sure that there's no solid bits of butter or anything on the side. So it gets all well incorporated. As you can see, I've got a very old machine. It's a very sort of natural, non-pretentious house. I've not got all the mod cons, all the old traditional, old-fashioned Kenwood mixer. This is from like the 70s. Still works really well. So apologies if you think it doesn't look brand spanking new, but these old ones do last for quite some time. And you often find the new ones don't last half as long, do they? So hopefully this will give me some use for another sort of 20 years. So I got this second hand when my children were very young. Right, so that's lovely. We've mixed that up, and now becomes the time when we do the dry ingredients. So I'm going to get a plastic bowl out, and into the plastic bowl I'm going to sift all the dry ingredients together. So we'll start with the flour, which is 450 grams, and we're using plain flour today, not sulfurizing flour, and that's because we can regulate how far and how well the cake rises by using plain flour and baking powder. Whereas if you just use sulfurizing, you're reliant on the manufacturers and you don't know exactly how well the rise will be. So 450 grams, and then into that we're going to put ground almonds, which is 150 grams, and then we're going to put the nutmeg in. Now I'm putting nutmeg in instead of those ground cloves because I like nutmeg. So I'm just going to do about half a teaspoon. If you want to measure yours out, please do so. Ground ginger, half a teaspoon. Again, we really like ginger, so put a bit more in that. And ground cinnamon, 1.5 teaspoons. Want a good mixture. And I'm going to put a teaspoon of baking powder in mine. The recipe doesn't say anything about baking powder. So mix them all together so it's all fully incorporated. It smells beautiful. Smell all those spices. Really lovely. Then what we want to do is put the mixed fruit in. Put everything together now. So I'm going to dip in all the fruit. Try and chop the cherries first. These glassy ones, otherwise they only just sink to the bottom. You can also mix them in a little bit of the flour, and that'll help it to not clog together as much. And then I shall open up this other cherry. And I don't want the actual liquid, I just want the cherries really. So try and just get some out. Let's taste one. They're gorgeous. You can get these guys, I got from the Lidl shop. If you can find them, get these, are beautiful. Far better than the other glass I chose. So I'm just chopping those up, and I'm going to just put a bit of this juice in as well because it is a really nice juice. Like a syrupy, sour cherry syrup. Again, I'm just tweaking this recipe, aren't I? You know, and obviously feel free to do the same. So we've got everything in now, haven't we? We've got our spices, we've got all our fruit, and so we're going to have to incorporate this carefully into the mixture, and then we're going to fold the flour in as well. And I usually do this just a little bit at a time. Don't want to lose all that air created by beating it together with a food mixer, do we? Very runny at the moment. Okay, so we've incorporated the cake now. Everything's all incorporated, stirred in thoroughly. It's ready to go in the cake tin. So as I said before, you want to double line your cake tin. So I've put 2 of these cake liners in, push them down, and it really helps it. A lot of people actually also put brown paper or greaseproof paper around, but I've always found this size is okay. If you're going to go on a really big one, then I would do that, but this is pretty much alright really, this size. So pop it in, let it settle itself nearly to the top, and we'll pop it in the oven. As I say, in 1 hour I'm going to drop that temperature down. So it's going in at 150 degrees centigrade, gas mark 2 for 1 hour, then I'm going to drop it down, like I said before, to 140 gas mark 1 for the remaining 2 1/4 to 3 1/4 hours, depending on it's cooked. I always lay mine on a tray so it regulates the heat and keeps it flat as well. Hi guys, so I hope you're doing all alright. That is now in the oven, and hopefully I'm waiting for the kitchen to smell gorgeous. I just want to say hi to Laurie and to Audrey for your comments. I also want to say thanks to Julie for your comments too. I love having comments on my videos as well. It's nice to know that people are engaging with us and obviously watching my videos and enjoying them. And I really like all your suggestions as well. So keep them coming, because it's really nice. It really makes your day when you get a bit of a message. And you know there's people out there, so hi to everybody. And if you're new, please subscribe and like and hit the notification button, and hopefully any top tips, leave them in the comments so we can all share them. Because I think the great thing about YouTube is that, you know, we can share all our tips. You know, my kitchen is a rustic kitchen. I haven't got anything flash. You know, there's no £500 food mixers or, you know, designer kitchenware or anything like that. It's just what we've got. We've just a love for cooking and recycling and everything like that. So, you know, please don't judge me. You know, I've not got every mortal thing that's the best or everything. We're just doing what we can with what we have and enjoying every moment of it. And obviously I hope that you're enjoying the videos as well, and we can engage and maybe, you know, share some tips of what you're doing. And it's really exciting because fall and autumn now, Halloween etc. is finished, but it's still that beautiful time of the year with all the leaves and everything. So I want to get out there and start picking and foraging now for the forthcoming Christmas and your Thanksgiving across the water. That'll soon be coming for all our American friends. So it's great to get out into the woods and the countryside and try and find all the beautiful natural foliage, seed heads and pine cones so we can design. So I'll be trying to do a few things like that in the forthcoming weeks as well. So I hope you like this. But as I say, I'm doing the Christmas cake today so we can get that fed and put away. So I'll come back later and show you how it's come out. Right, I've just taken the cake out of the oven and it was 4.5 hours, give or take 5 minutes. So about 4 hours 35 minutes, which is a long time, but it's cooked. Now I'll show you the cake. Right, so this is the cake, and unfortunately it's cracked a little bit on the top. But what I will do with that now is cover it in a double layer of tin foil, and hopefully over the course of the time that will mould it together and the heat will set it all, and hopefully you'll never tell because obviously it'll all sort of get merged together with the tin foil. But it's all beautifully cooked, it'll taste divine, and then we start feeding it and it'll actually all sort of come together, and then we can put a marzipan topping on it and some icing, and you'll never know that it's cracked a bit. I'm not quite sure why it's cracked, but just cover the top as well, so you know these things happen. We don't live out in television, so there isn't one that I've made earlier. That's the Christmas cake. It'll taste divine and it'll cook nicely, and when we actually bind it together and feed it with the brandy and pop the marzipan in by Christmas time, when you actually come to cut it, you'll never know there's cracking on the top. So I hope you'll try this recipe, everybody. It's a beautiful cake and it really does taste really lovely. As I say, we've been using this recipe for 10 to 15 years now, so I could really recommend it. So get it wrapped up in a double layer of tin foil each week, with also greaseproof paper around it first, and then double wrap it with tin foil. Feed it every week with brandy or a liqueur of your choice, and then about a week before, 10 days before, get it covered in the marzipan and ice it as you wish. You can also, if you don't like marzipan and icing, is cover it with all glazed fruits and nuts and then glaze it on top. So however you like your Christmas cake, I hope you enjoy. Thanks for watching. Any top tips, leave them in the comments below, and thank you, and hope to see you again shortly with some more real life Christmas makes. Okay, thanks ever so much. Bye now.